And we're back once again with the Lakers Fast Break podcast. It's NBA Observations right here on the Lakers Fast Break, part of a Lakers weekend. Awesome. Great to have you here. We had an awesome time last night talking about the Lakers victory against Houston, going up 1-0 in the first round of the playoffs. We'll go ahead and discuss that and more. Plus, also as well, of course, going into the detailed analysis of the NBA playoff games. The final one of the weekend is being played right now with San Antonio multicolored as the arena is facing off against the Portland Trail Blazers. But here with me to provide some NBA observations. He wanted to get back into the swing of things. I'm so glad he is here. He's a good man indeed. You got to go ahead and check out what he's doing today. I got Next Sports Media. It is, of course, the legend himself. Legend, great to have you back sharing your thoughts on NBA basketball, my friend.
Man, it is good to be back. Been a rough couple of days going through nerve problems and all, and find out what you diagnosed with that I got to try to recover from now. But it's good to be back, and that's why I need some good basketball to kind of get me back into the spirits, take my mind off of what I'm dealing with, and help get through my speedy recovery a lot faster.
Absolutely. We're wishing you all the best and a speedy recovery for you as well. I know you've been having a very troubled week, but I'm telling you, my friend, it's always great to see your face. Everybody was asking about you, and we're just hoping that you will be back up and about to go ahead and make sure you're providing the continual best in NBA observations that you do. Yes, you are correct, JSJ. Mania Night 2 was better. That doesn't matter, though. I was there for night one. My daughter enjoyed it. She saw her favorite wrestler win a world championship last night. The look on her face did all for me. Do I care that the main event was slow, boring, and the exact opposite of what happened on tonight? A little, but the thing is, though, legend, before we get into it, when I was going to say this to TJ later in the week, because I know he's been asking me, my friend TJ, for PCC Multiverse on the Friday show. He was asking me for my thoughts on it. On all day, and he's been telling me, oh, night 2 is so better. Night 2 is so better. I understand that. I get that. But if you ever want to have less of a critical eye, see it live from the 400 section. I caught myself. They had a huge display above the ring. The WWE is. You don't even have to watch the scoreboards or anything. The huge display right above the ring. I caught myself looking at that from where I was at more than the actual ring itself. Again, being in the 400 section, it was just there. Great to be part of it. And again, it wasn't the greatest day as far as card for wrestling. I get that. I understand it. But it's WrestleMania has that certain little magical thing that just makes it special. The crowd could have been better. The crowd wasn't tired. It could have been better action in the ring. Yes, I get that. But you know what? It's always fun, Legend. It's just fun to go. It's just to say you did. It's a bucket list thing.
Yep.
If you want to go ahead and do it, go do it. It's a lot of fun. There are so many great people there, just all doing what you're doing. Everybody had a wrestling shirt on. I saw the people there in the restrooms changing because they felt bad because they didn't have a wrestling shirt on. They felt out of place. So one guy said, I got to get me a shirt. So he comes in with a jersey, a 42 jersey, Vegas 42, spent $100, just dropped $100 on it just so he could just so he didn't feel bad because everybody there had a wrestling shirt on. And yes, everybody's talking about the prices. I get it. I understand it. Even when you went in, there was a ton of, expensive things. The shirts, the merchandise is just out. It's just gouging you right. I get that. I understand that. The tomahawk steak for $140 that you could get right there with the bone, with the imprinted and carved in WrestleMania 42. Yeah, I get that. I understand, but it was just enjoyable. It's just the thing you have to do. And again, my daughter had a great time, and that's all that matters to me.
Oh yeah, that's all that matters. Long as the kid's happy, that's the biggest important thing. I may not be a father myself yet, but whenever I do become that, that's one of the biggest thing that's important to me. As long as my child is happy, I'm happy. It's like I do with my girlfriend. As long as she's happy, I'm happy. She want to go to Chili's, and I'll be like, all right, makes you happy. Let's go. That's all that matters.
Yes, being a parent is such a fantastic thing. I'll just leave it at that. But Craig, give you a shout out. He said last time I saw wrestling was at the Olympic and Grand in the '90s, Los Angeles. My first memory is from the LA Olympic Auditorium. I have brief glimpses of memory when my dad took me to the matches, and I saw Andre the Giant. Back then, Andre the Giant was usually doing like a battle royal. He did some matches, of course, but he would go around the country and around the world, and obviously he would just go in a battle royal and would win the battle royal, of course, because at 500 pounds, who's going to stop him? But yeah, my first memory of wrestling really was my dad taking me to an event at the Olympic Auditorium to see Andre the Giant. I just remember the big old hand because just grabbing people and just like there and there. Yeah, that's great memories indeed. So go ahead. Yes, I understand it's not for everybody, pro wrestling, but for those who enjoy it, I'm glad that you've gotten a fix. I know that it's been a lot of stuff said and done in regards to this upcoming event. The promotion wasn't great, the booking, everything with storylines. I get that. I understand. But if you experience it like I experienced it, I would just highly say go try it. Just try it once and you'll like it. And you'll
Yeah,
like
you only get one life to live, so live it to the fullest.
it. Exactly, indeed. But Legend, is great to hear. Let's get to you into NBA observations. Before we go into the playoffs on the weekend, there's one thing I want to address because you are a fan of that team and a supporter of that team, and that is the Golden State Warriors.
Yikes!
They after the game that they clipped the clips on, clip's going to clip, vintage Curry for one moment. I think we're seeing the part where you're just from these older guys, the Durants, the Currys, the LeBrons of the world. You're just not going to see it every single game. If you're expecting the type of games that you saw from Curry against the Clippers every single game or LeBron every single game. It's just at 37, 38, 39, 40, 41. It's just so much harder for them to do. And seeing that Curry couldn't give it to them in Phoenix, it just wasn't enough. And Draymond Green resorting to Draymond Green tactics, trying to beat up Booker and got them both out of the game, but they just couldn't stop Jalen Green. They couldn't stop the Suns. Their season's done. But at what was said afterwards, as far as the Green coming back on the court, meeting with Kerr and meeting with Curry, and the hot mic moment about Kerr saying, this is paraphrasing, but this is the last time we could be together. He said in a press conference later that this is a decision that he's going to make in the next couple of weeks. And we have speculated in the past month about the future for Golden State Warriors, i.e., Steph Curry. What happens at this point, my friend? Do you rebuild? Do you think Giannis is a fix on this that can cure all ills? Or do you think it's just time for Kerr and the old guard to step away? I mean, it's not going to look pretty at some point for the Golden State Warriors. You could just see that they just don't have the depth that is going to sustain a winning platform going forward. But if you're Mike Dunleavy, who's the GM of Golden State, what do you do?
I mean, it's time for something new to happen. That dynasty run, legendary, one for the books. Hey, it felt good being on top of the world. Beating everybody, blowing them out. Look like what Oklahoma's doing at this point. But it's been a good run. But you got to start over at some point. And I don't know if Steve Kerr get a contract extension or not. I get the feeling Steph is going. Well, actually, I think I know Steph going to stay. Steph said it already. He planned on resigning. But I wouldn't be surprised if Kerr come back. I think what's going to happen is it's going to be either Kerr or Draymond. It's going to be one of them that probably will be gone. I think it's gonna be one or the other. But it's time for some changes. You gotta start moving toward the future, and just gotta realize that championship you won in 2022 was probably it. That was probably the last one, unless you can somehow get Giannis. And I don't think he's coming because look what he said about LA. I don't think he's coming to California. Uh, I would be just surprised if they would have pulled that off, but I think it's time to make some changes and start building toward the future, and you just got to start rebuilding. I mean, it's a tough Western Conference, and you just do not have the weapons to hang with them right now. It was nice seeing that vintage stuff, but you know, it's just not going to happen anymore. You can't rely on that. It's not consistent enough. It's up in the age. You can't expect that. So it's time to rebuild. It will be the right thing to do. This question is: if the GM who's in charge right now, is he the right man to rebuild this organization back up? Hard to be a OKC and do it the right way like they did.
Well, it's going to be interesting to see how this is going to lay itself out. I know JSJ said if the Golden State Warriors get a top 4 pick in the lottery, that could line them up for a trade for Giannis. But what does that do? What does that do for you at this
Giannis is
point?
already injury prone.
I mean, but what kind of team will you really have with Giannis and Curry? It just we've talked about it, speculated this before. I mean, we've seen the Lakers are a top heavy team that doesn't have the kind of depth you would like to see throughout the entire roster. If you bring Giannis in along with Curry, you sign Curry to an extension, which is going to be in the 70s, I think, in the high 60s, 70s,
Something like
something
that.
like that. That really restricts what you can do to build a team.
It makes it hard. And to me, if you really want to build a team, you have to sit there and be like, Steph, I need you to take a pay cut. I mean, honestly, I think you can make that money back with no problem with all the commercials and TV shows that he'd be a part of. He'll make that back with no problem. But if you really want to try to build something in Golden State, you gonna have to take a pay cut. You gotta do something because it's hard to build a team around you if you asking for like 70 or 80 million. I'm like, oh, I can't do that, bro. I know you still good, but I can't do that. Not at your age. That's hurting the team. The CBA is not gonna allow you to do that. You gotta be willing to take some sacrifices, and it's something Steph will have to do, which I think he probably won't mind, especially if it was the right opportunity. But like JSJ said, maybe you get a top lottery pick, maybe you can get Giannis, but you gotta look at how can you make this work and make the salaries work to where you can get the right supporting cast around you. You don't like you just said with the Lakers, Daryl. They talk heavy. You got your 3 best guys, and after that, you drop like a rock that quickly, and that's something you can't have to win a championship nowadays. You gotta be at least balanced from your stars to your depth. You gotta be balanced, and right now the Warriors ain't got neither one really right now. So it's a lot to think about. Honestly, I think the Giannis sweet states is not gonna be as popular as people think it is. I really think he's gonna be somewhere on the East Coast, but we'll see how that happens. Maybe Detroit flame out. They might be the one to get him.
One last thing on the Warriors before we get into it with the playoffs and what happened this weekend. Of course, we're going to cover the Lakers as well. And it is Legend from I Got Next Sports Media. Intel Wild is here. Thank you. Truly appreciate the super chat, my friend. Let's go. Let's go, Lakers. Absolutely. Let's go indeed. I want to ask your thoughts on this. One last thing, and it's Draymond Green. Uh, I know that this was not the best looking season overall for him. Clearly, people have, like me, have targeted his age and said he's on the decline. And we can say all the things we want as far as Draymond's concerned, but he did show up against Kawhi Leonard, and he is probably one outside of course, Curry, that his defense in that fourth quarter against Kawhi was vintage Draymond Green. I just don't know how many more vintage defensive performances he has left. And I know JSJ said he should opt out, and or are you thinking of opting out and getting a new contract? I just don't know. It was Channel 9, Craig. It was Channel 9, by the way. Yeah, which is now KCAL, which was then KHJ. for roller derby. I know, just sorry guys. A lot of some of you younger guys are like roller derby. What is roller derby? But it's Channel 9. It was Channel 9. But I wanted to ask you this. Uh, what do you do with Draymond Green? And, he has those brief glimpses, but you know, I don't know. I just don't see another team taking him on with an excessive salary for a 35-year-old plus guy that, you know, limits you so much on the offensive side when you're waiting for the chance to utilize him in that fashion. It's just going to be like, okay, we're going to just keep you on ice until there's a player that match up well against that you can find a definitive advantage on.
You know, I don't think it's a lot of that defensive performance I love. Draymond is to me this season, he showed a lot of decline. And that's expected. Getting older, he's not gonna be able to do what young version of him could do. You know, he can have moments that he shows up, but it's just not gonna be a lot of that. It's gonna be hard for someone, even for him, to go to another team and be like, I want this big contract. I don't think nobody would want to do that. I think even if he came to the Lakers, I don't think they would want to do that either. If they don't want to pay LeBron big money, I know for a fact they're not going to pay you big money. And it just, I feel like at their ages, you got to be willing to take some pay cuts. If you truly want to win a championship, you're gonna have to take some pay cuts because you got to understand the CBA is limiting a lot already, and it's already hard to keep a championship team together with the way this CBA is built to make you tear it down. So these like people like Draymond, you're gonna have to take a pay cut if you're trying to win. But he's shown a lot of decline, and you know I don't know how much longer he got left in the tank, but it's getting close and closer to the point where you know him coming off the bench or something at some point would be not a bad thing. But you know it's not easy for everybody to do that. You saw how Klay Thompson couldn't accept that role.
That's true, but we will see what happens for the Golden State Warriors. They're one of the teams that could be feasting or could be famine for them in the offseason. We'll have to find out. They've got a lot of assets, money coming off the books, draft choices, but they also have a lot of age that if they want to keep it together, it might be very suspect if they try to keep it together and try to keep on building a winner from there. But we will wait and see. But I've got legend from I Got Next Sports Media right here with me. It's Gerald Glassford's NBA observations. Bless you, my friend.
Thank you.
Want to go ahead and talk about the Lakers now. Let's go ahead. God bless you again.
Thank you.
Against the Houston Rockets. Game one goes to the Lakers. I said before for the Lakers to win this series, I think they have to win both games at home. I think that's not a negotiable for me because that just will allow them to buy time for Luka to come back. I know the rumors are starting to swirl if he's coming back game 3, game 4, game 5, what have you. I want to ask you this, Legend. When it comes right down to it, the Lakers on the half court execution were outstanding. 61% shooting from the field, extremely efficient from there. Let's focus on the positives first before we get into what I think needs to happen for game 2 because 61% shooting, Luke Kennard going for 27, LeBron 13 assists, DeAndre Ayton experience. We're back on the ride, my friend, because it's 19 points and 11 rebounds for this time. You know, we got the D ticket, as we used to say. Craig will know what I'm referencing on that. We gave our D ticket. We're going back on the DeAndre Ayton experience. Your thoughts on what went right for the Lakers and how they were successful in game 1?
One thing I would definitely say what they were very successful on is they executed the offense really well. That's something that Houston has always struggled with when it comes on their side of things. They struggle with the offense, and that's something the Lakers did well. They knocked down shots when they needed to. Guys stepped up. A lot of the major X factors they showed up. DeAndre Ayton, Luke, them guys, they're like your X factors, and they showed up. LeBron didn't even have to go out here and drop 30 some plus points. He didn't have to do that. And that's major. And they played pretty good defense too. And the biggest thing too, I know a lot of people don't bring up is Houston had a lot of offensive rebounds. They had a lot more shot attempts, and you still won that game. So that's impressive. And to me, the biggest and most important thing the Lakers did to me is You took advantage of it. No Kevin Durant was not there. You took advantage. You capitalized on that, and that's what you have to do. There's no KD. You have to take that game. I feel like you lose that game, that's a bad sign. But you didn't do that, and that's the biggest thing to me that really made a major factor in this win for them. They went out there, they took advantage of Houston lack of shooting, make a lot of dudes shoot jump shots who just not comfortable or great at shooting. DeAndre Ayton really bothered Şengün and a lot of them guys. He did a really good job on defense. Şengün really struggled out there. Like, man, Houston looked like a whole different ball club when there's no Kevin Durant. This is when you miss having a point guard and all that out there. But shout out to the Lakers. They did good. They went out there, offense executed. DeAndre Ayton executed on both offense and defensive end. Luke looked like, got to give Rob credit. I don't know, hey, whatever you told the Hawks, he did good on that part, getting Luke. You actually got somebody who can shoot the ball and then forget how to shoot when he got to LA. So that's a good thing. And Luke has really showed up. So you got to give them props. See how to go in the game too now. I'm going to suspect that Kevin Durant's going to play. So I'm just going to guess that, but I don't know.
I'm just going to say this when it comes to the Luke Kennard deal. Yes, this has been one of Rob's best signings. And again, as I said to Stefan, his biggest booster, Stefan Piscano from Stefan Piscano podcast in the chat, it's the ups and downs of Rob Pelinka. Right now, he is on the ups. Got the Luka deal. Most of the things that he's done have helped the Lakers. DeAndre Ayton, Luke Kennard, Marcus Smart. They were, Jake LaRavia to a lesser extent. Yeah, they've been good additions for the Lakers. Made some mistakes a little still along the way. Kobe Buffkin and a couple other things. Still keeping Bronny James in the mix as far as it's concerned. Yeah, but still, you got to give him credit for where he's gotten it, and he's been able to go ahead and get these guys to produce right now without Luke and without Austin in the lineup. My thing is though, actually, Jay said it best: 61% shooting from the field. That's not going to happen again. But the
No.
thing that concerns me is though, I don't know if again I mentioned it on the show last night as far as the playoff wrap up as far as game one is concerned. The Lakers got the offensive rebounds 21-3 in favor of Houston. So everything they talked about in practice leading up to it went out the window because they still gave up 18 more offensive rebounds than they got on the offensive end. And overall, they were out rebounded by 9. They are not going to shoot 61% in a playoff game, probably back to back. Yeah, if anybody's expecting that, I think you're only kidding yourself. But the Lakers still can shoot efficiently. They can still shoot well, but they have to find other ways to win. They didn't shoot well from the free throw line. They still won the game and won the game convincingly, despite that in late turnovers as well. They got sloppy with the ball towards the end of the game as well. So all these things that normally should add up to a Lakers loss, they got away with because Houston just doesn't have the offensive players to take advantage of them, to make you pay for your mistakes. And the thing is, Luke Kennard, he's scoring 27 on you. You should be scoring 47 on him because he's that bad of a defender. And the Houston Rockets just do not have that player who's going to be able to take you one-on-one to make him pay.
And that's the biggest thing to me where I would say is what killed the Houston Rockets is that you had that many offensive rebounds and they let's be honest, Lakers took advantage of it. That offensive side of Houston is just that bad. A team that can really compete offensively pretty good, that you probably lose that game. You probably lose it. But Houston's offense is just that bad on half court. They can play some pretty straight defense. They can rebound like crazy, but nobody can make a shot. Nobody can correct their shot. This is when you need a point guard, and Lakers took advantage of it, and they're able to get by with it. But that would be my only concern as well as that's way too many offensive rebounds, and to ask them to shoot 60-some% again. Asking a lot.
That's just unfair. You know what? If it happens in the flow of the offense, legend, that's okay. That's fine. I'll give you that if they have another 50 or 55% shooting performance. But the Lakers have to understand where they need corrections on. And the offensive boards is where I'd start, and the free throws is where I'd start. You have to take advantage of what's given to you. And going to the free throw line and shooting only 65% or thereabouts from the free throw line is not acceptable. You have to shoot better in a playoff
Agreed.
format. And
Like,
and the 21-3 offensive rebounding at disadvantage for the Lakers, that has to be cleaned up because again, I don't know how many times you're going to get the Lakers to shoot that efficiently. I know that Luke Kennard is the best statistical 3-point shooter in the league. So I expect him still to shoot well. But what about the rest of the team? You know, Rui is still a good shooter. He's going to remain a good shooter. But what about the DeAndre Aytons? Are you still going to get 19 points out of him next game? Because you've seen the DeAndre Ayton experience go take us up and down this roller coaster once again. LeBron James getting 19 is fine for him, but that supporting staff, the supporting roster of players. In fact, if you're counting on Luke Kennard to get you 27 again,
yikes.
that's just a lot to ask. It's just a lot to ask. So the Lakers have to find a way to still manufacture that efficiency from other places besides what they have already. Because I'm assuming Ime Udoka is going to make the adjustments to go ahead and play Kennard a little bit more tightly on Tuesday.
Yeah, and that's the the thing. Like LeBron's go 19, you know, glad enough to win the series. Maybe if everybody's stepping up, I probably see probably need a little more than that. But Luke did his thing. Luke knocked him down. But yeah, to ask him to score 27 a game, yeah, that's probably not realistic. But unless Buddy on the other end for Houston just don't make no adjustment, maybe you still do that. But that's asking a lot for someone like him to go get you almost 30 plus. Like I don't expect that. And like I told somebody as well, you still got to admit there was no KD out there. That makes a humongous difference too for them. They already lacking like two major pieces. You take Kevin Durant off, that's really like, what do you got left at that point? But I don't know if Luke can keep that up, but we're gonna see. What happened in the game too. That was a hell of a way to start a playoff. That's for sure. He went out there and showed out. But the one thing I would say about both teams I really saw the most was going into that second round. Both teams got a lot to clean up. Otherwise, that's gonna be a very short series. Because some things that I saw that ain't gonna cut it. The turnovers from both sides, the missing free throws, that ain't gonna cut it. That's not gonna cut it.
Yeah, not against an OKC, because whoever wins this round goes to play at OKC. If you shoot that kind of percentage from the free throw line, or if you give up 18 more offensive boards, that against an OKC, more than likely they will be taking advantage of it. But getting production like they did from Rui and Smart, 29 points combined, that's obviously a big help. That I think can continue. LeBron James with 19 focused more on the distribution of the ball with 13 assists, 8 rebounds. I think he can still give you the 27 in place of Kennard on Tuesday. It's just, what do you expect of the support staff, the support roster from the Lakers? I know that Joe's in the comments saying, yes, they whipped them without two of the best Lakers scorers that are there. They did win without two of the best Lakers scorers that are there. I'm just saying that when you look at it, and Joe sometimes doesn't look at it, you have to understand shooting 60% in a playoff series twice in a row is extremely hard to do. So you have to figure out other ways to win, not expecting to shoot 60% from the field once again.
Yeah, you can't expect your role players to step up. To me, this game was more of like role players how I win the game. Role players generally play better at home. So, they did their job. Role players came out, but to expect them to do that on a regular basis, probably not. Probably gonna be some times where you're gonna need LeBron to. I'll be the first to say it. 19 points ain't gonna cut it. That's not gonna cut it.
If he gets you 27 in place of Kennard this time around, the Lakers that keeps the Lakers in pretty good shape, Legend.
Yep. I think that'll keep him in good shape. If it's like we flip it around or something like that, then that'll be the difference. Because I don't know how often the role players are gonna show up. Because like we said, Aiden might show up today, he might not. I don't know. It's the inconsistencies. I don't know. But the blessing in disguise for the Lakers right now is you got a Houston Rockets team who stinks on the offensive end, just terrible running plays, setting each other up. And them not having a point guard, it's just showing big time right now. Not having a real point guard and a lack of shooters. So it's kind of like a blessing in disguise right now that you got a team in the first round who stinks on the offensive end. But gotta take advantage of it. Hey, all you can do is play what's in front of you. Take advantage of it and see if the role players continue to step up. And even when KD come back, like Joe said in chat, all I gotta do is really trap him and force the others to have to create. But we'll see how that looks.
We'll see when you show it. I think I also like what was said in the chat about when you show it. Are you going to be doing it from behind? I wouldn't do it necessarily if the Lakers are down by a lot. I would just say if they're up by a lot or they're looking at a place where they can do it as far as when it's competitive or at a right time, that's when you show off the trap to throw them off because I know that's something they work for and they plan for. And I'm assuming that Ime is schemed for it. But if KD's there, try to pick the right opportunities to go ahead and throw different looks at him to get him off kilter, to get him off of his game.
That's the best thing you can do. Just try to throw him off. And like I said, take advantage of no point guard, lack of shooters. You take advantage of that part. That's all you can do. Right now, to me, game 2 is probably pivotal for the Houston Rockets. You go down 0-2, you might be in trouble. But then, like Gerald, like you just said a little while ago, for the Lakers, you kind of need game 2 as well, just to keep yourself afloat long enough for maybe Luka or Austin Reed to come back. Even though I think if you go to Houston being like split 1-1, it's not the end of the world. But now the pressure just kind of moves back to you because now you need to get one of them Houston games. You can't afford to go drop both of them. Otherwise, series probably over at that point. So it kind of going back and forth right now who the pressure kind of slide into. But like Isaiah just said in the chat, though, I don't know if I feel good about this series either way. If I win, look what I get in the second round. Yeah.
Before we leave the Lakers and go to the rest of the playoffs, got our great friend Parade on Figueroa on Twitch. How you doing, my friend? Hopefully all is well with you. I haven't heard from you in a while. Many blessings to you and your family out there. Truly appreciate it. Hey, Gerald Legend, is there a basketball reason why Bronny is getting minutes in the playoffs? Please help me comprehend. I'm, you know what? Again, you're talking to with Joe and I probably two of the least supporters, and I've said, and I've been complimentary to Bronny that he has improved from the non-player that I first saw him at in summer league because that guy did not look belong on an NBA court or on a G League court when I first saw him. He has improved to the point where he's been a good G League player and maybe at some point could develop to a back end of the rotation player. He is not a rotation player right now in the NBA. Still, we've said that leading into this, but you knew it was coming, Parade on Figueroa. If you checked out what JJ had warned us or told us in practice leading up to him, trying to throw every flower that he could leading up to it, saying we trust Bronny. He's really improved here. He's really improved on this defense. When we've seen the one thing that has regressed the most is his defense. And it's looked even worse in recent weeks leading up to this game. And then on offense, that has been the part that has improved. But still, he just does not look like he's a player that is going to give you consistent minutes out there as a backup. That's what Joe and I've been saying. Joe is still, hardline, not an NBA player, and I can't say I'm going to fight him on that. But Legend, he came in there yesterday, but you knew he was going to give him time. JJ already intimated that. He intimated that, and again, I don't want to make I don't want to say it was a good move for everything that JJ did right and all the buttons he pushed correctly. And I said last night I didn't want to really touch on Bronny too much because I wanted to keep it positive last night because the Lakers won, but he was the single negative of anyone in the rotation. The bench didn't give you much in the way of offense, but they at least gave you everything it can in effort. He came in there 4 minutes, one foul, two fouls, one turnover, looked out of place, looked like a deer caught in the headlights, looked like the lights of the playoffs got the best of him, and he never came back in again. I don't know what the Lakers are going to do as a backup guard, but Bronny James sure as hell ain't it.
Yeah, he looked like somebody who, forgive me for my language, guys. He had no hell of business being out there. It's too soon. He ain't ready for this. I kind of figured that JJ would probably gonna throw him in first. What you should have did, just throw in Nick Smith already. That'd been a better choice. I can't guarantee that Nick Smith would have handled it well, but probably do better than Bronny, man. Bronny's not ready for that. Like, he's gotten better. Don't get me wrong, but this is a different stage. This ain't the time to be experimenting and doing all that type of stuff. We know good damn well he ain't ready for that. And that type of stuff could come back to bite you. You out here playing with your food and your toys and all that, going to handle your business. That's not the move. And I get it. He needs another guard to handle the ball, but Bronny is not that guard I would be going to for that. And he didn't look lost out there. He looked like somebody who he deep down knew, I'm over my head being out here with these boys. I'm way over my head. So, give LeBron his time. Father and son, first time in the playoff. Yeah, get that out the window. We don't care about that. It's LA, his championship of buzz. Nobody gives a damn about that part other than them. But that shouldn't happen no more. I should see Bronny with DMPs the rest of this series. That shouldn't come out no more.
So whenever Stefan talks to me about Rob Pelinka and lays, that faith on him, this is what I have back. Again, don't listen to me. Listen to guys with experience in the business as GMs. John Hollinger, he said the Lakers have been terrible in the back end of the roster 2 years in a row. That's on Rob Pelinka. You don't build depth. You don't build players. Again, it could come back to haunt the Lakers later on if their rotation shortens up even more, but rotation shorten up anyways in the playoffs. So this outcome for the Lakers, whatever it may be, a championship or bust, I don't think will be entirely decided upon whether or not Bronny plays, but by God, legend, I hope he doesn't play anymore.
Yeah, I hope he doesn't, because that would be pretty bad. This is hard to watch, but you got to play like Nick Smith Jr. or something like that. And I think somebody in the chat said a little while ago, game 2 is kind of like a must win too. You don't have time to be doing that. You really need to get both these home games, because even though Houston is slapped terrible on offense, I'm mighty afraid if KD comes back, it's gonna be a lot to try to beat that team when you're missing 2 of your players. Because now, to me, KD and LeBron are gonna cancel each other out, and I go down the bracket. They got the better players on their side. At that point, it's gonna look a whole lot better than what it was the first game. You don't have time to be experimenting with Bronny James. You probably need to go with Nick Smith and see how he handled it. That's a better option than going to Bronny. I just think it's just too soon for Bronny. I'm gonna always say it. I'm like Joe. I don't think he's an NBA player just yet. I really feel like he should have stayed in college just a little bit longer. Did your 4 years and maybe came out, I think he probably been ready. But who knows? I guess LeBron probably told him, I need you to get to the league. Let's make history and all that.
We'll see. JSJ, if Lakers win game 2, Luka and Austin come back. Well, what I think that, again, JSJ, the reason why I said that the Lakers must win 2 at home is that if you're buying time for Luka and Austin, if you don't win game 2, then you're probably going to rush one or both of those guys back for game 3. And that is concerning to me, which is next Friday. I think if the Lakers win 2, you could at least, whoever's closer. I think Luka is probably closer than Austin is my guess. If I had to guess, I would probably say if the Lakers are up 2-0 heading into Houston, I think it's just basically that time house money. And as far as what happens in game 3, and then you could say, 11 days from now, as far as or with game 5 or even game 4, 8 days, or, just another almost week to go ahead and prepare if you're doing game 4. That to me is just would be the key as far as that's concerned. Legend, if the Lakers can just buy some time to get them to game 4 with the lead still in hand, I think you'll get one or two of those guys back in game four. If they're split, then I think somebody hits the panic button and one of them comes back in game three a little bit early, which is not that great.
That's the part I've been most concerned about if they do split in LA, and then especially if KD comes back and they split, and you got to go down there to them. We all know how it works for role players. Role players play good at home. They usually play terrible on the road. Now you probably end up wanting to rush one of them back because you ain't gonna feel good that your role players are gonna show up in Houston. LeBron gonna probably show up. I don't know about the rest of them. That's how it usually works. So it's definitely important to try to win these two home games before you go back to Houston. Because going to Houston 1-1, this is the anybody series to me still at this point. And but it can go sideways when KD come back and now you going 1-1. I would say at that point, game three, the pressure's on the Lakers at that point. Now what do? You going to them. Role players don't play generally well on the road. You lose game three, now it's 2-1. Lord forbid you lose game four, you probably in trouble and definitely about to hit the panic button. And somebody gonna make a dumb move and rush somebody back. They get hurt, and then you just mess up next season. It comes to the point where you gotta be logical about your decision. So game two is kind of like a must win, just to not only stay afloat, but give yourself a chance to win this series. But we'll see what happens in game two. See if KD be back or not. To me, if KD play, really gonna decide a lot on probably what happened with game two.
Once again, it's Legend from I Got Next Sports Media, along with me, Joe Glassford. It's NBA observations. So there you have it. The Lakers play on Tuesday. Go ahead and catch the game, and then afterwards, we'll be here for the post game, as far as right here on the Lakers Fast Break. But Legend, there's more to discuss in the NBA playoffs. The first weekend of the NBA playoffs is done. We'll go ahead and hit up the last game with San Antonio pulling away in the second half for a double-digit victory over Portland. I do want to remark, because I'll probably forget if I talk to Caleb about this, but I may remember. But it's so interesting because the memes are out there with, oh, yes, they compare the San Antonio crowd on the top to the Lakers crowd. And the Lakers crowd, of course, no shirts, no nothing. It did just normal no, normal crowd for Lakers. But when you've won 17 titles, you're just like that. But with San Antonio, they've got the hold, because of the first time they've been back with a home game in San Antonio since 2019. They're making a big deal of it, and more power to them for doing so. But they go with the pastel colors. They go with light blue, I think light green, light orange, just very pastel colors. There's sections of different colors. And it's so funny because you have like this section of blue, light blue, and then there's one guy wearing the orange, or in the pink, there's one guy wearing the green. There's got to be one guy in that whole sea of colors that's got to be wearing the exact opposite color of everyone else. It's like, why? You didn't get that shirt there. You didn't get that shirt there. You either move there or you switch with somebody on those shirts. And I'll just leave it at that.
I would definitely say it was pretty cool seeing that, them, really celebrating being back in the playoff and, the atmosphere. Them in Oklahoma to me showed out with their crowd. I give them that. They both showed out, bringing that atmosphere, and shout out to the OKC too. They made history today. First team since, I think, the LA Lakers back in the 80s with Magic Johnson to do a home opener in the playoff, winning by 30 plus points. Jesus, boy. But Spurs, that was pretty cool seeing that. And I guess it was their way of welcoming back Spurs organization, being in the playoff, and even had David Robinson and Tim Duncan in the house. So, a special moment for the Spurs to be back. Won their first playoff series, so that's dope for them. Yeah, I kind of figured the Lakers like, yeah, I'm not doing all this. We got 17 championship. We're not going.
I'd be nice if they did, but yeah, it's like I remember, was it last year during the conference finals? 3 of the 4 teams did that with the free shirt deal, right? The only one who didn't do it, the New York Knicks, and everybody just pointed at the finger at James Dolan and cheap ass that he is. I'll leave it at that. But getting into the game itself, How come they keep saying Wembanyama's 7'4"? I don't understand that. In NBC, the call is like, he's standing right next to Donovan Clingan, who's 7'3". He is not 7'4".
Yeah, I don't think he's
He
seven
is
four.
he's closer to 7'6", 7. Give me a break, guys. And just to see, okay, it was great tonight because a lot of people for the first time, or really the first time for a myriad of time, they were able to go ahead and get a long look at Victor Wembanyama for a national televised game. I think it was a great platform for him. And there were just some plays that you just have to go ahead and shake your head because this is a
Yeah.
7'6" guy, 7'5", whatever. He is a really tall dude doing some really cool things out there that are almost unfair in the game of basketball, my friend.
And that is why I've been telling a lot of people in the Western Conference, you want to win championships, you better start doing it now because Wemby's coming. He's gonna win one within the next 3 years. He's going to get one, and it looking like it's gonna be OKC and Spurs and take over the West, and the rest of y'all just sit back and enjoy the show. You ain't finna win jack, which is why you got to start putting your teams together better. You want to beat them. Wemby showed out for his first playoff game. He really did. 35 points. I forgot the rest of his stats. I know he had 35, and I'm like, that's impressive. First time being in the playoff. Went out here, he dominated. That's dope. That is dope. And yikes, man. There was some conference, boy. You got to deal with Wemby. It's already bad with Oklahoma. Now you got Wemby showing up too. God the mighty knows, bro. Good luck to the rest of you. Good luck, because you're going to need it.
We're going to need it. We're going to need it, my friend. But tonight, let me just run down the numbers for Victor. 35 points on 13 of 21 shooting, 5 of 6 from 3, 4 or 5 from the line. Only 4 turnovers for him because he does handle the ball a lot. And that's the one area of his game, just because of his sheer height, you got to take
Yeah.
advantage of, is to force him into a ton of turnovers. Only 2 block shots, but again, when I was watching the game, they just stay away from him. They don't get near him. They mid-range shots, Portland outside shots. They did not try to go take it inside, and it totally takes you out of your game when you see that, because when he doesn't get the block, he can still leap over. Okay, let's say you're going and driving on Denny Alvey, you're driving into the lane or near the lane on a guy that's about your size or smaller. Right behind him, there's a Victor Wembanyama still reaching out far enough to at least get your shot just annoyed with, and where you just have a hard time trying to make that shot, legend.
Yeah, that's a tall dude we're trying to shoot on. Like, just imagine myself. I'm like, what, 5'5"? I go out here and try to shoot him. I'm getting blocked. I'm not even gonna try that. So I can imagine them trying to shoot on him. Like, it's not gonna happen. But yeah, I expect some turnovers. That's a tall dude. He gonna be dribbling kind of high, so you expect some turnovers. But the fact that he can handle the ball is impressive. It's already hard to even block him shooting threes in mid range. So good luck with that part. But that's incredible. The first time in the playoffs, come out here and get 35 points. That's a nice stat line from assists. Man, that's a good way to start it off. That is a good one. I kind of beginning to understand a good bit why Brew from First Thing First has either the Spurs or Thunder making the final. I can see why you think the Spurs can make it. Rick,
I
because Wimby like he's ready.
I'm just telling you, legend. I said, because that's the thing. They throw out the experience factor. Throw out the experience factor. And I said, coming up into this, I said that Wemmy's just the type of guy who will just give a middle
Yeah.
finger to this experience thing, and he just has so much belief in himself and so much sheer talent. Period. He can overcome things that would stop normal or even above average or even great players, because the fact that he just has a will that matches the talent that you see out there. And it's just is. I know it's comes off as fawning over Victor Wembanyama, but it just is. You see him out on the floor, you hear the things he says, he walks the walk, he talks the talk, and then he backs it up by walking
Backs
that
it up.
walk as well.
And that's one of the things I really like about Wimby. He talk it, he backs it up. Like I've been saying for the longest too. that experience off with Wimby, yeah, throw that crap out in the woods. Nah, that when you're that talented, when you're that great, experience ain't gonna stop you. You're that good. You'll break through that regardless. That kid is ready. He's ready. He's ready right now. Just seeing how the young guys from Oklahoma, the Wimby and that young group in the Spurs, they're literally showing everyone in the West, this is the blueprint. This is the blueprint to win a championship. Get your depth. Young stars, young athletic guys. That's what you need in your teams. You tired of losing? Study them. Study them. You tired of getting whooped every year in the first or second round? Study them guys. They got the pieces right now. Wimby experiencing, to me, he gonna be fine. I would not be shocked that the Spurs made it to the finals. I wouldn't be. I would not be surprised. You got a tall order to knock out Denver. That might be the one thing that might bite them that you didn't that you didn't beat Denver in the regular season. You could have put them on Oklahoma side of the bracket and did yourself a favor. But I wouldn't be surprised if Wimby like bring it on. I don't care. Cause that sounds like something he would say. So I think the kid is ready. I think he is ready. He's prime time ready. I think he's shown me enough. I've seen enough.
What I will say for Portland fans out there, yeah, it you did lose, but you've gained some experience with the
Yep.
play in, and Denny Advia is showing to be a really good player. Scored 30
Really,
and 10
really
tonight,
good.
and if he could just stay healthy, Scoot Henderson, who was picked third in that Victor Wembanyama draft. I know he's been almost like an afterthought, but he recently came back into the starting lineup, and today 18 points for him. Again, this could be a building block for if you really get a team around those guys, and Scoot Henderson could become a player that everybody thought he was going to be. The player that I saw in Victor's first game overseas here in a suburb of Las Vegas called Henderson, I saw those two match up with each other. In the first half, it was all Victor. In the second half, it was all Scoot, and everybody was really super high on Scoot at that time. Injuries and just getting to understand the NBA from the guard position has been hard for him. But again, he can use this as a platform for hopefully future success for Scoot Henderson.
Yeah, I almost forgot about him myself too. Been so long since I heard anybody brought him up. But he's still learning. This playoff experience is good. Regardless, even though I think Portland will probably lose in like five, still this is gonna be a good playoff experience for them as well. Continue to grow. Damian Lillard is coming back. You'll learn a lot from him. They're gonna be fine. This is all like growing pains to grow. Just like the Spurs are gaining a lot of growing pain, so is the Portland Trailblazers. So it's pretty dope seeing a lot of the younger guys gaining these experiences and growing as players. I think Scoop will be okay. Continue to get better, stay healthy. He'll be in a good situation. But that young kid, man, I forgot his name already. That dude's really impressive though for Portland. Really, really impressive. A good draft pick.
Denny Avia.
Yep.
Oh, that he wasn't a draft pick. He was traded from Washington. He was a good draft pick
Oh,
from
I think
Washington.
he got drafted.
He was mired in mediocrity as far as a kid who was okay, was good, but nobody thought he was going to be stepping up to this level. So Washington traded him, gave up on him,
I'll be happy
and
I got traded from there.
yeah, nobody thought, including Washington or Portland, had any idea he would progress this level. But he has become a all-star level player for Portland, and it's been good to see. Ruben says Orlando Magic keep on surprising, so we'll head there next. And once again, it's NBA observations with legend from I Got Next Sports Media, along with me, Gerald Glassford. Thanks again for watching, listening. I'm going to try and get Caleb Ponce again tomorrow. So hopefully we have that for you guys on the off day as well. And then later on this week, hopefully Matt John coming back for our round the clock crew for NBA observations. So I want to go ahead and ask you this, Legend, with Orlando and Detroit. Of any of the games on this week's slate, all the home teams won, with one exception, and that was in
Yikes.
Detroit. And that's the one thing we had talked about with Detroit, is that it's a good team. They played well with Cade out there, but with Cade, this team is so reliant on him to produce that kind of offense. Similar to what Houston does with KD. They
Mm-hmm.
become reliant on one guy to facilitate, to manufacture all their points from either the distribution or shooting of that. And we saw that tonight. one thing Orlando has is a lot of height and a lot of size and reach to match up with the Detroit Pistons. And their offense may not always be great on Orlando, but their defense, when they go ahead and get focused, can be. We saw tonight in Detroit the Orlando team that many of us, when I spoke to Alfred Esmond in our preview, that thought that Orlando was going to end up being. When we thought of a 1-8 matchup, Orlando Detroit, many thought it was going to be Orlando and not Detroit. And tonight is the reason why you thought that may happen.
Yeah, they went out there and they took care of business. And that's something I brought up too before the playoff even started. And there was one team that if I was at the bottom who I would want to play, give me Detroit. I feel like Detroit been that one team that might show a lot of the inexperience beginning to show. And they had, they had some issues handling Orlando Magic tonight. They had some issues, and frankly, that's a bad loss for them right there. That's a very bad loss. You just lost home court advantage at this point. 3 of the next games will be basically in Orlando. You have to win game 2 now. You lose game 2, you might be in trouble. You might be about to lose this series. And them being so young, inexperienced, even though they did play last year in the playoff, still pretty young. We don't know how well you're gonna handle that adversity, knowing that you in a must-win situation now. So you gotta give Orlando props. They really stepped up big winning that game. They went out there, handled their business. And this is the Orlando team that a lot of people thought we would see in the regular season. That one that would be like top 5 in the West, I would say West, in the Eastern Conference. But they slid a little bit, but they showed up today. And might have to save somebody's job for a little bit longer.
For a little bit longer, we'll see. But I'm not holding on to anything. If Detroit wins the next 4, then I don't think that delays anything. No, but we'll see if the Orlando Magic can continue to provide stiff competition. I like the fact that they let it go. That's the one thing, guys, I don't want to say before we go on to the next game. All this weekend, I saw a lot of the whistles being bit as far as the referees biting their whistle, letting the contact happen. You guys, there's just going to be things that we're going to be pissed off on when it comes to Lakers. You're not going to get this call, not going to get that call.
Playoff basketball.
It's playoff basketball. And if you like it physical, you like it rough, you like these guys giving every effort, because I saw effort out there from all of these teams. And that's what, we saw. Even the teams like Philadelphia for a little while, and for before they got overwhelmed, and the same thing for OKC and Phoenix. I mean, at least they tried and gave effort in that first quarter before they got steamrolled. But that's the thing I like the most, is that they're letting things go in the playoffs. The whistles are not being blown as much, and that's what I like to see.
I like seeing that too. I like to see the referee put your whistle up, let them guys play basketball, let the game be decided by the players. And that to me is better. I think, to me, when a referee is just blowing the whistle left and right in playoff time, it just takes the excitement out of it. Leave that for the regular season. It's playoff. These dudes work hard to get to this point. Let them decide their future on whether or not you make it to the next round or not. I think that's the right thing to do. And it's good to see that, even though I know some people brought it up on Twitter today, how SGA got all these free throws. You know how it works. You a star. But it's good that they're not blowing the whistle that much. And that kind of benefits some players who are still in the playoff right now. Like people like Lou Dort and our buddy Dylan the Villain, all them guys, they love playing physical. This your time of the year. Do what you do. The referee gonna bag off and say, do what you do, unless you get too far. But I like it like this. I love it. It's good playoff atmosphere. That's how it should be. This is how it should be. Let the players decide their fate.
Yeah, the only thing I can't defend is the SGA still getting 17 free throws. That still is bothersome. And the fact is that he shot 5 per. You should be at least a close loss if SGA is shooting 5 of 18 and 0 of 4 from 3. He cannot have these kind of games and get away with it. That's the problem. If you're in Phoenix right now, and we'll get into Phoenix right now, my friend, as far as that series again, we might as well since we're on it. 119 to 84, Oklahoma City beat the Phoenix. That to me is a problem I have, Legend, is the fact is, for every other team that the other game I saw that's physical, that they're not calling stuff at and they're letting things go. You get back to SGA, that's going to be a problem. The league has to look at that because I think they let things play and let things be more enjoyable and physical as far as an NBA playoff product in almost every other game, but this one. And if you're Phoenix, you have to be absolutely just beside yourself with anger if you aren't even close. And SGA shoots 5 of 18 and 0 of 4 from 3. That's just absolutely should just get you mad and get you pissed off.
Oh yeah, I saw a lot of Sun fans mad, especially this one Suns fan. He's very famous, well known. I'm not sure you ever heard of him. He's on YouTube too. Broadis, big Sun fan. He spazzed out today, which was kind of funny. But yeah, I've been frustrated too. I've been frustrated knowing that this dude shot horrible and still got 25 points because the free throw line. That hurts. That's hard to win the game at that point. If I know that if I barely breathe on this dude, he's gonna get to the free throw line, I'm gonna lose this game no matter what I do at this point. I'm already getting beat by the team's depth. I'm getting beat by the referees at this point too. Like, how can I win this game? I can't win this game at this point. I'm losing again. I'm basically fighting 6-on-5 at that point. I'm going against the players on both the court and on the bench, and then I'm going against the referees. I can't win. There's no win to that. Like that's rough. I've been frustrated too. I just been like, what do I do at this point?
I'm going to say this. Let's say the Lakers are lucky enough to move on to the second round and meet up against the OKC Thunder. And if they told me or they told the guys, hey, look, you're going to play one way or the other, I'm going to give SGA, Luca, and Austin their usual stuff and getting to the free throw line. Or, you know what, I'm going to let it go and you're going to be on your own, you three, and you're not going to get as many free throws. You're going to get 5 to 7 free throws as opposed to 15 or 17 or 25 free throws a game. I think I would rather say, you know what, if that's the case and you're making things equal and it's an equal platform, I'd say let's see what we can do with SGA only getting under 10 free throws a game. Let's see if he can be that type of player. Because if he throws out one of these games and he doesn't get the 15 to 17 free throws given to him, then
Yikes.
that changes the
Yeah.
dynamic of on whether or not Oklahoma can repeat or not.
Yeah, that changes a lot. Like if you got to rely that heavily on the free throw line, that's pretty bad. That ain't good. Like he has to be better. You can't rely on the free throw line to bail you out. You got to be able to be a lot more efficient and get more of your points off of your own and not rely on the referee to bail you out. Because they pull the whistles away, we're gonna really see what you made of at that point. So yeah, he has to do better. You just can't rely on the free throw line to be your bailout. But man, if that does be the case through the rest of this playoff, I don't know how you beat him at that point. I don't know. Like he's gonna get to the free throw line every single time, and that's something Austin Reeves didn't get last year. I heard him a lot when they wasn't calling no foul like he usually draw in the regular season. He looked like a shell of himself. He looked like you don't even know, like a deer in headlights out there at that point. I don't know what to tell you. He looked like a disaster. So we'll have a chance to see how SGA really looks if he was not getting all those calls. Be interesting to see.
It would be. Again, if you told me either which way, you say, okay, you guys can have it this way or you can have it that way. I'm just gonna say, I'll tell you what, even playing field, these guys all get under 10 free throws. And we'll see what happens there because I think it would be very interesting to see if that
I'll
would
be
be the
right back,
case.
Gerald.
You got it. Once again, it is me, Gerald Glassford, coming right back at you here along with Legend. Legend had to step away for a minute, but I'm here to go ahead and answer your questions. I know that Jay's plays days and Joe are getting into a little kerfuffle there online. But the next game I wanted to go ahead and hit up for you guys, as far as is concerned, is the game between Boston and Philly. And I'll tell you what. Pinty from Germany, who I talk to and converse with a lot because he asks a lot of questions, has a lot of statements, and again, just he's found a sounding board in me at all different points of the day when it comes to the Lakers and the NBA. He said that Boston, it sucks because they look really good, and they did. They started off today and they dominated. They dominated the Sixers right from the get go, and the Sixers without Joel Embiid, who was out for the appendicitis injury. That's rough. That's rough. And if Tyrese Maxey is not taking it to a superstar level, he only got 21 today. He just looked, okay. That's not going to get it done against the Boston Celtics. And the Boston Celtics have what looks to be a deeper roster of players, which is very concerning to us Lakers fans, indeed, because they looked like the best team in the East after this first weekend. And that's not good at all because, again, when you have Tatum going for 25 and 11. You have Jaylen Brown going for 26. You have double digit figures for four other guys. And then you have guys coming in there all on the plus side and the plus minus. That's a scary thing. You have depth on that team that is very frustrating to see because you could have seen with a better GM in LA a better roster that would get you as excited as this one for Boston fans does because legend that Boston Philly game, no Joel
Oof.
Embiid. You only had an average to slightly above average game from Tyrese Maxey with 21. That's not going to be good enough because Boston, they throw a lot of guys at you, and everything that they're doing right now seems to be hitting. And they looked after the first weekend like they're the best team in the East.
Yeah, it looked like they were the best team out there on the East Coast. Today was just BTA pretty much. They gave the 76ers BTA. They took them behind the shed and just beat the bricks off of them. It's pretty rough to watch for the 76ers, and Boston look like they are the best team in the East. I picked the Boston Celtics to come out the East. I feel even better about that they're going to reach the NBA Finals. Only one other team I think might can say something about that, and that's either the Knicks or the Cavs, but I just like Boston into the finals right now, and they kind of showed me today why I feel that confident that they're going to get there. Don't know if they're going to win it, but they're going to get there. It's hard to beat them like this, and it's just crazy how this is supposed to be their down year, and we talking about them going back to the finals. That's an incredible run right there. If they manage to win this whole thing, yikes, boy, that's gonna be one heck of an incredible playoff run coming from what you were supposed to be and what you end up being. And I know a lot of Laker fans will probably discuss it if that happens.
The other games on the slate from Saturday, my friend, the Cavaliers beat the Raptors 126 to 113. Nothing unexpected there. The Cavs in recent days have seen an uptick in people thinking that if they get their act together and play with consistency, and if Evan Mobley can take that next step, James Harden doesn't play like James Harden in the playoffs. He actually plays like James Harden in the regular season. And Donovan Mitchell gets back to form. This could be along with Max Strus, if he can still, fire it up from three. This could be a team that could be the only fly in the ointment for a lot of people in the way they're evaluating as a team that could stop the Boston Celtics. Now we'll see, but there's a lot of ifs on Cleveland, but so far with Donovan Mitchell coming back with 32, James Harden with 22 and 10 assists, Max Strus coming off the bench for 24. It looks good so far in Cleveland right now.
Yeah, right now it looks good. I kind of said this about Cleveland. If Donovan Mitchell can show up, biggest X factor to me. If James Harden cannot be playoff James Harden that we always see, he shows up, they got a chance to get to the NBA Finals. They got a chance they can give Boston a run for that money and even knock them off possibly. But I got to see a little bit more about Cleveland. I got to see if they really for real. Kind of hard to measure that when they're going against Toronto Raptors, but what I will say, Gerald, is they got it made. Their path to the finals is there. They got a path. You got Toronto, and let's say if Orlando managed to knock out Detroit, even better, easy second round. And you only have to knock off either New York or Boston. You don't have to knock them both off. Just one or the other. They got it made. On their side of the bracket, you got to knock off either both of them. But for them, you only need one. So there's a path for them to get to the finals, but it's going to come down to, is your role players going to show up? Is James Harden not going to turn into playoff James Harden, where he just disappears and all that? Is Donovan Mitchell going to show up? That's what it's going to come down to. But if there was ever a season where they really got a legitimate path to the final, it's right now. This is the path. It's there. It's literally right there.
Danny, good to have you here in the chat. I would say this about Bam Adebayo. If you go all in for a Bam Adebayo because you know Pat Riley is going to ask for a lot in exchange, I don't think that gets you where you want to go. You have to build a team with a consistent roster of quality players from 1 through 10 at the very least, because we're seeing that right now in OKC, San Antonio, Boston. These are teams that have quality players coming off their bench and quality players in the starting position. And if you go all in on a guy like Bam Adebayo, I understand your concern about Luka's defense. That's why you get a list of defenders and that can also do other things and quality things out there. Bam Adebayo is a good, solid player. Don't let the 83 move the 83 against Washington out of your mind, because Legend and I could probably go off for 83 against Washington. Let's just be clear on that. They
Might get
did not.
100.
They exactly. Yeah. Legend would actually be holding up the 100 sign for him. There you go. But uh, it's just he's a good player. Sometimes he's a really good player, but he's just not. As you see with Miami, it's not he's not that missing piece. He's not that key core piece you want to build around, but he is paid and he has played like he is a superstar, and I'm just not sure if he's the superstar for the Lakers. Again, for what you would have to give up, because you would have to give up a lot of assets to get him, and how much it makes you better your team, I'm not sure really does, unless you've got a lot of great deals around Bam Adebayo, and I'll just leave it
Pat
at
Riley
that.
gonna be trying to scam too. I get
Yeah.
his feeling he gonna try to take advantage.
Yeah, he will. He will try to take advantage indeed, and you will have to wait and see what happens this summer. But yeah, exactly, Jays. Again, I think Jays. It was against the Washington Wizards. You have to look at the competition. Who was when it was done? It was done on regular season. Again, 40, like you said, 43 free throws. Yeah, it's not happening. It's not happening deep. But let me get you to the other game. I wanted to go ahead and other games, two other games I want to focus on right there for you as far as it's concerned. Let's go ahead. Cleveland, I think it's again, they have to be on all cylinders, but I think if any team can upend Boston, it could be them. But
Yep.
Max Struess, I think it's a missing X factor for them. I do want to go ahead and focus in on the other game that I want to talk about is Denver and Minnesota. Minnesota's crying right now. They are
Oof.
crying a lot about the refs and whatnot. And I just said, let them play. They let them play in Minnesota, excuse me, in Denver against Minnesota. And Minnesota's not liking it at all right now because they felt they should have had that game in Denver. I'm not so sure they're correct.
Yeah, I feel like Denver is just a better team. And two, you gotta think about, I don't know how healthy, Ant really is. I know he played, but there's a part of me that feels like he's playing, he's not 100%. Which I know a lot of people at this time ain't 100%, but it looked like something still might be bothering him. But I just think Denver's just a better team in the long run, and it's gonna be hard to beat them, man. It's gonna be hard, and can't really. To me, it's hard to cry about the referee a lot in the playoff, unless you in the SGA situation. That's a little different, but the ref are gonna swallow their whistles. That's what's gonna happen.
Well, they
They're gonna let
didn't
you
with
play.
Murray, though. Again, like we talk about, there's those rare occasions where they let 16 of 16 for Murray at the free throw
Mm,
line. Legend, I'd be kind of complaining too, but Edwards cannot just go for 22. He could just not have regular
yeah,
20 point games. He has to step it up in the playoffs for Minnesota to win games.
he gonna have to score about 30 plus. You gonna need about 30 from Ant 20 something, it's not gonna cut it. It's just not enough. Your team ain't that great enough. To me, I feel like that this T Wolves team is worse than last year's T Wolves team to me. I think losing Nah really did hurt them a good bit, but you're gonna have to score more than 22. That's just not enough to beat this Denver Nugget team. Let alone if Jamal Murray getting that many free throws.
16 of
That's that's
16.
that's not gonna be enough to beat them. You're
Let
gonna
them
need
play.
either.
Let them play.
You know,
Don't call the whistle. It just in the playoffs, it's not worth it. Just it's so much better, like I saw in Orlando and Detroit, them fighting it out physically. The Lakers in Houston, them fighting it out physically. I don't like it when these whistles are called for these guys. It's got to keep it under 10 free throws for these guys. It just seems like it just sticks out when you have the rare occasions that you're seeing these playoffs right now where SGA is getting 17 free throws and Murray is 16. It just seems like you got to let these things go. You got to choke on that whistle a little bit more. They're doing such a good job at letting them play in other games. They've got to do the same. The NBA has to take note and tell those refs, with those games, you got to choke on that whistle a little bit more.
yeah, I agree. You gotta let these guys play ball. Like I said, to me it slows down the game, and it's playoff basketball. Like I said earlier, let the guys decide how this game is gonna play. That's how it should be. Don't blow the whistle left and right for SGA. Don't blow it left and right for Jamal. Don't blow it left and right for Luka Austin. None of these guys. Let them work for it. If you got to rely that heavily on the free throw line, shouldn't be here. Then your team shouldn't win no championship because that means you really ain't championship level ready. If you need the referee to bail you out that much, the referee do need to step back and just let the guys decide the game. That's what people wants to see. People want to see them physically going at it. That's what people want to see in the playoff. The playoffs supposed to be different from the regular season, not just like the regular season. It should be two different things, and the referees got to get that right. And I hope that's something maybe Adam Silver will fix as they talk about fixing the 65 game rule and all that over the off season.
We'll see if they go ahead and they just have a Zoom call and just tell those refs in OKC and in Denver, just hey, choke on that whistle a little bit more, especially if they go for the home team. It just has an appearance like you're siding with those teams. And again, if you told me, that would mean Luke and Austin getting less free throws, I'll live with it if I see the other team also having to live with it as well. And I'll just leave it at that because it makes it, like you said, for a less watchable game when you see one player going for 16, 17 free throws. It's just in the playoffs, it's just not a good look. But the last game we'll cover for the weekend is New York and the Hawks. And your
Ah,
Hawks, my friend, first chance to get going in with a lot of momentum at this part of the season and didn't get it done. CJ McCollum, I'm telling you, still can fire it up. 26 points for him. Jalen Johnson in his first real action as the guy for Atlanta, 23. Again, another point, Nikhil Alexander Walker was 17, but another point where your top player has to take it up another notch, and it didn't happen for the Hawks against the New York Knicks.
yeah, for us to win that game, I think Jalen Johnson really probably need about 30 plus to have a really chance of winning that game. I mean, I think they did pretty good for being as young as they are in this playoff run. But if you really want to beat the New York Knicks and this surprise the world, Jalen Johnson got to take it up another notch. You going to go out there and be like Wimby. I need 30 some points. I gotta have it. Otherwise, this regular between 20, 25 points, it ain't gonna work unless somebody else is gonna give you another 15, 20 some points to add along with what you're doing. Otherwise, it's just not enough. It's just not enough to beat that team. And to beat the Knicks, I feel like you need to take at least one of these games to have a shot. You lose both of them, yeah, you probably gonna lose in 5 or 6, probably 5 at that point.
And I don't want to pour salt on the wound, but this goes back to the Bronny James situation as far as the just making the right pick. Um,
Yeah.
I mean, you guys have done so well as far as your transactions, and with just a couple notable exceptions, and one of them was Gabe Vincent for Luke Kennard. Luke Kennard scoring 27 for the Lakers. Gabe Kennard only 2 in 15 minutes of action, but he had 13 more minutes than your number one draft choice from last year in Zachary Ricochet.
Yeah, that does let you know how, to me, like you get to that point where you slowly fall out the league. And that's bad when you had the number one pick. But that did let you know how bad that draft really was in 2024. When they said that was a weak draft, they were not playing.
But Castle is playing minutes. He's starting for the San Antonio Spurs. Sar is thought of in high regard in Washington as a best foundation for their future. Ricochet looks just like a blown call for the Hawks.
Look like they missed it. Look like they missed it on that one. And make it even worse, I was one of the few people who said, "Go draft Castle. He's from Covington, Georgia, literally 35 minutes from Atlanta. Why y'all didn't draft this man? He been at home. Like, come on, man. You,
Your
Atlanta.
backcourt right now would be Castle and Nikhil Alexander Walker, with Dyson Daniels as your small forward, and CJ coming off the bench.
That's a big miss. They messed up on that one. And I kept saying, get Castle. It made so much sense. The kid is from Georgia. Covington, Georgia is down the road from Atlanta. It is nowhere, literally nowhere from State Farm Arena. About 40 minutes from State Farm Arena, if you count the traffic and all that. Like, you missed on that one. You know, they really messed up on that one. Maybe you get lucky, you get number one pick again.
805. Somebody's going to still take a chance on Zachary Ricochet. I mean, look how many times, Wiseman has had issue, even just tearing an Achilles, and he still gets chances. So he'll get another opportunity, especially with expansion coming up in the next couple of years. So he'll get an opportunity somewhere, but it looks like it's running out for him in Atlanta, and I'll just leave it at that. But again, you want to say right now he looks like a draft bust. Could he revive his career? Of course. I mean, Chauncey Billups, he was a draft bust in Boston, and he resurrected his career in Detroit and became a Hall of Fame player. Or a Hall of Famer, I should say. So yeah, it can happen for anyone. It just sometimes it's about right fit for that player. So
Mm-hmm.
again, you shouldn't totally give up on Zachary Ricochet as far as a player, but he's like Dalton Connect for the Lakers. It may be about an opportunity somewhere else, and if he takes advantage of it. And the same thing for Zachary Ricochet as well. But Legend, it's been great covering the first weekend of playoffs with you, my friend. Let me know what you got planned, if anything's planned for you. I know that you still got a lot of things you have to get checked, and as far as for this week, but if you have time, what you got planned for I Got Next Sports Media?
I definitely probably want to sit here and probably go over some of the playoffs a little bit and just talk about, what we learned from the first game or two for a lot of these playoffs team. And I probably will maybe do a live stream too as well of the Hawks game. I thought about doing that. Of course, I got to see how my time schedule and all, what I'm dealing with and all, but I'm definitely going to try to do some videos on the playoff a little bit more. Didn't have a chance to do anything last week with all I was dealing with, but try to get back and try to get into this playoff rotation.
Absolutely. Sounds good. So please head on over to I Got Next Sports Media. You like and subscribe today as well. 805 says, I mean, even Dyson Daniel was a late bloomer. Well, he had to switch teams in order to do so. Again, sometimes it's about fit and opportunity, and maybe it's
same
just
thing I
not
said about
there.
Dalton Connect. He might blossom somewhere else.
Yeah, he might blossom somewhere else, and same thing for Zachary Ricochet as well. But we'll see. But again, that's your NBA weekend recap, along with me, Gerald Glassford. It's Legend from I Got Next Sports Media. If you have any questions for us below, go ahead, and if you're watching this after the fact, go ahead. You're more than welcome to do so. I'll go ahead and I'll respond in the comments. But please go ahead and make sure you catch our coverage this week. Of course, all the games will have the post game attached to it on Tuesday and Friday, of course, and we'll continue to provide this week, hopefully with Caleb Ponce and also so Matt John, the best in NBA playoff observations. Thanks so much again for watching, and we'll see you next time on NBA Observations. minutes.